Division 51 is a relatively new division of APA that is focused on the psychology of men and masculinities.
We study the way men and other genders interact with each other.
And understanding that there is no such thing as one masculinity. Understanding that there is no such thing as one type of man.
The combination of issues with men and women and gender issues.
It's so nice and refreshing to kind of talk about what's going on in the field that affects roughly 50% of our population.
There's so much emphasis right now on young girls and developing programming for young girls and empowering young girls. How are we raising and empowering both genders from an early age? To me, that seems like a very pertinent issue.
I always cared about boys, and I grew up in a low-income community and just saw how poverty and incarceration and violence really affected black men. So I think being a part of a division like this gives me language to talk about that, gives me ideas for how I can kind of act on improving some of those circumstances in communities like where I grew up.
There's certain aspects of masculinity that, when taken to extremes, actually have a detrimental effect on not only how you interact with other people, but men oftentimes not realizing how negatively that impacts you as a person.
One of the key issues today, in my mind, is isolation. A lot of men are isolated from each other and from one another.
We're at this maybe crisis in regards to what it means to be a guy in the 21st century. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity because now we can redefine it. Whether you're a man, a woman, someone who identifies as transgender, trans-masculine, trans-feminine, this division's a really welcoming place for anyone.
It's not just a bunch of men in Division 51. I am a black woman and I study masculinity.
It was really natural in terms of coming into the division and having conversations with people. And I think as a student, initially you can be really intimidated. You're talking to these people who you aspire to be.
I am currently a professor of counseling psychology at the University of Iowa.
I'm a psychologist on the PTSD clinical team at the VA in San Antonio.
I'm in private practice. I am also founder of Men Mentoring Men.
Most of my work has been about definitions of masculinity and male sexual development.
I'm a counseling psychologist.
I'm a clinical psychologist where I specialize in working with men, and in particular with new fathers. Students represent the lifeblood, I think, of the APA in our division too, because next year's leadership is who we want to be working with today. So we always have an eye toward what are their needs and what are some programs that can get the best and the brightest in and working with us.
That was inspiring to me, and I thought, maybe, this is maybe a division that I need to connect with, because here's where all of the researchers are who I really need to get into this world.
I wanted a professional home that had a direct reflection on my research, where I could be around like-minded scholars and connect and network with people who are doing similar research.
Joining this division specifically is that it is smaller, and that makes it easier to meet people and to build those mentoring relationships and to get leadership opportunities.
There was this part during the business meeting where we kind of broke up into different groups, and everyone in the circle went around and kind of described who they were and what they did and different things like that. And it was just a really cool environment. It was really really great to see how Division 51 has impacted so many people's lives, and you can just see the genuineness and excitement that everyone in the room had about the division.
We talk about the research, and it's very scholarly in many ways, but what I found was that the men that I've spoken with and women that I've spoken with, we talk about things on a very personal level.
You can tell that people care about one another. People aren't necessarily in the division to hear themselves talk or to really say, like, I'm the expert on this topic. They're really there because they care about the field of men and masculinities, and they care about their other colleagues.
What it means to be a man needs to be expanded, to go away from the whole issues of masculinity, of not being able to show vulnerability, of not being able to really connect on a deeper level with other men and other women. And so I feel like that's been our mission, and it still remains part of our mission, to expand the definition of what it's like to be a man.
scholars of masculinity studies definitely should be at the table when we're talking about policies that impact impact boys and men.
To be part of that effort, to be part of that mission, is not only a responsibility, but it's a privilege.
The more I've gotten involved with Division 51, it's come to be my professional home.
Because of the people I've met in this division and the work that they're doing and the types of people they are, it has helped me become a better person. And I know that sounds, somewhat lofty, but particularly as somebody who identifies as male, I feel like I'm a better friend. I feel like I'm a better partner in my relationship, in marriage. I feel like I'm a better father as a result of the interactions I've had in this division with the people in this division and the stuff that they're doing.
This is the conversation I want to be a part of, and I want to contribute to it in a meaningful way.